Okay. This is the Golf Commission. We are here on Wednesday, March 31st. We'll start the meeting at 6:11. Minor technical issues, but it looks like everyone's here. And this is now time for the audience of citizens. So if there is anyone out there that wishes to speak, now is your time. I just need your name and address, please. No one? Okay.
Yep. This is Dave Bernard from 50 Stockingsbrook Road.
Okay, Dave. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having this.
Welcome.
My question is, I guess, twofold. Number one, has there been a study of the financials? I know about probably 15 years ago when they thought about the golf course expansion, I studied pretty in depth the financials of the golf course. And I guess that's my first question. Has anyone looked into those? Because if I recall at the time, it was the allocation of labor that drove the financials for the golf course. And that allocation could come into question is that to how you allocate town employees' time or maintenance employees towards, golf course activities. And I know that made big swings. So first, I don't know if anyone's looked in depth at those financials and studied them. That would be my first question on that. And then secondly would be the as far as the town's charter and how this and how a move to monetize the property of the golf course would be in the town charter's interest opposed to, say, a recreation type activity. So those are my two questions, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Dave, I think actually tomorrow night would be a much better platform for that. Are you aware of tomorrow night's meeting at the high school regarding the future of Timberland? Basically, they're looking at all different options for the golf course. Are you aware of that meeting tomorrow?
I am. I was just confused on this one because it had both, and I wasn't sure that the difference between the two.
Tonight is just a special meeting that was called to discuss the tee time policy, and that's it. So we can't talk about anything else really. Because,
I'm very sorry for that.
No worries. Your concerns and questions are valid. But there is an agenda for tomorrow evening, and there will be an audience of citizens. You can either show up in person at the high school or call in, and we invite you to do that for sure.
So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I apologize for taking people's time.
No worries at all.
Peter, can I interject real quick?
Sure.
Dave, this is Jim Norton. How you doing?
Jim, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Listen, those were looked at. They were, and we have looked at those. But Peter said is absolutely correct. Tomorrow night is the venue for that.
Okay,
at the high school.
Cool. Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Bye-bye.
All right. Jerry, little history, why we call this special meeting is I don't know if any of you have been approached with the tee time policy complaints. I've been inundated with them. Mark has been inundated with them, and a lot of people have contacted Jerry as well. And it's all regarding the non-resident versus the resident tee time policy. So that's why we're here to discuss it. And Jerry, I'm going to let you discuss what you've experienced and your thoughts on that, and then we'll have Mark give his thoughts on it, and then we'll discuss together.
Okay, thanks, Pete. All right, so as Pete said, a number of people have reached out to me personally and through the phone as well, and they're all non-residents, obviously. They are concerned that with this policy in place, that they will be locked out, in quotes, of the ability to play Timberland at certain times. I think it's a valid concern. I've talked with Mark at length. Peter, we've talked as well. And I've also talked to the town manager. But the consensus is, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but after speaking with Mark and with Pete, the consensus is if things don't change, they're gonna go elsewhere because they're afraid that they're gonna purchase the steak, but they're not going to be able to eat it. So they're not going to be able to secure that time whatever that time may be. And essentially at that point being locked out of play. So that's it in a nutshell. I don't think, being that the amount of out of town play at Timberland is at 75% or more, I don't think this is a smart move going forward. Locking the potential out of towners out. That's it. I mean, plain and simple. I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. Mark?
Can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fielding a lot of the same complaints and concerns from non-residents. And I did a little research, and I mean, I think we're the only course that I can find that has a resident benefit for starting times. Most of the other courses just have however many days in advance, and there's no time that residents can call earlier. So I mean, we're a little uncommon when it comes to this. I know it's a great benefit for residents, but it potentially can shut out non-residents from even playing. So I think that's their concern, that they don't want to really buy a pass or commit to anything when 24 hours ahead of them, all the tee times can be booked by residents. So, Jerry and I definitely agree on this. I don't know if anybody else does, and I'm sure it's not what everyone wants to hear, but I think it'd be a good move and fair to non-residents.
Anyone? One at a time, please. You can unmute before you speak. Go ahead, Jim Norton.
Jerry, how many people have approached you? Number one.
I've had a half a dozen. Two,
all right, so-
two persons came
I'm
into
sorry,
the
six.
office.
So Jerry, you had six?
I had a half a dozen, correct, Jim. I had two
Okay.
actually come into the office. Mark knows of them because Marcus had the conversation
It's
with
okay.
them
It's
as
okay.
well.
All right. So
Yeah.
Mark, how many have you had?
I probably had the same amount, and maybe even the same
Same people?
people. I don't
Okay.
really know if they are the same people,
Okay.
but probably had a similar amount.
Okay.
Yes.
And Peter, you
Oh.
same thing?
Oh, more than that. Yeah. More
Well,
than that.
obviously we don't know, how many of the same people over and over again. But is it likely that we're, is it too early to tell? And they were saying, I'm going to use your own words, Jerry. You said they were afraid to be locked out. I mean, if you really want to take a back a look at things, I mean, I'd take a look at the number of men's clubs tournament that we have going throughout the year, and
Mhm.
it seems like an awful lot. But are we jumping the gun right now? That's number one. Number two is, I look at it in one respect. I mean, this, Timberland was built basically for the residents of the town of Berlin with their funds, in addition to state funds. This is the federal funds. And, if there's a loss, and there have been losses throughout many, many years, the taxpayers are the ones who are subsidizing that, right? Not the out of towners, the taxpayers are. I understand where you guys are coming from, and I do. Maybe it's not a day, but, the same token, I mean, residents do need, they're the ones who have been supporting this thing through thick and thin. If things don't go good, and they don't go as they should, at the end of the day, the residents pick up the tab. And I think that's maybe sometimes we're going to lose sight of that, and we can't lose sight of that. So the residents, to me, and this is just my opinion, and it's just one of the commissioners, they do deserve some sort of break. And an hour didn't do it, because it was a joke the last time we did it last year, and the phones didn't work. Let's kind of rewind what happened last year. We had so many problems with that phone system. It was a joke. You couldn't get through. You just couldn't get through. You had to show up that, a half an hour before the tee time, before you guys opened up, even 10 minutes in order to get a tee time. We have short memories. You guys remember that now? Does everybody remember that, how that was last year? So here we're throwing the taxpayers a break, the taxpayers of Berlin, and maybe a day is not the right choice, right? If it's the season ticket holders that we're worried about, well then, maybe you throw them something, 3 hours after or something like that. I don't know, but to just make, to go on a whim that they're afraid because it may happen, to me is foolish.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
I'm
Sebi, you had your hand up first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Jim just said. I'd like to know how many have we sold so far this year of non-resident season passes, Mark?
Give me 1 minute, I'll pull it up.
Okay, then the other thing that I'd like to mention is that in addition to what Jim just mentioned, I think if we're going to be fair about this whole thing, I think residents who call in or show up to get a tea time should only get one tea time per person. We should not have the ability to give out many tea times to one individual. Then that's considered like a little mini tournament. I think that's fair because then it'll keep the tea times available for non-residents when they call in the next day. And I think that might be some of the issues that they're mentioning. I don't know if that came up in any discussion with you, Peter, or Jerry, or Mark, that the individuals were concerned about, individuals of one person taking up 4 or 5 tea times. And I'm assuming they're talking about Saturday, Sunday, prime time in the morning.
So Sebi, just to answer your question real quick, we've sold 49 non-resident passes and 133 resident passes. Just to give you
Okay.
some numbers. And in terms of the customers, it's actually come from weekday players and weekend. It's come from both. It's not just weekend. The
Okay.
complaints.
Thank you. Gail.
I agree with much of what Jim has said, and that, tax dollars do goes towards the course. I would be in favor because of the non-residents having purchased a pass, also getting that option to call a day in, with the same level of residence. I think that's fair. They've paid for their pass, and I think that would be fair. I like the day because I think it also spreads the calls out a little. Like Jim says, trying to call was problematic because everybody was calling at that one time, that one day, versus having it, it'd be 2 busy mornings, one for the residents and the non-resident season pass holders, and then the next day, for everybody else. So that's what I would propose.
Just to give everyone a little perspective, Saturday was a busy day at the course. We started taking tea times Monday for residents. The tee sheet was filled till 12 p.m. Before Tuesday. Just to give some perspective, it was filled with resident times from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Mark, how many of those were season passes? Do we know?
I mean, in terms of, there's 4 players in each group,
Right.
so that's
we don't know.
the people that booked were mostly season pass holders. But in terms of who played, that's another dynamic, is a resident can book a time and there could be 3 non-residents in the group. So I mean, you only need 1 resident to book the time. It's not going to be 4 residents playing. So that's a little different perspective, I guess. And if you know a resident, they can call 5 days ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Well, I think that anybody that has a pass, whether it's a resident or non-resident, should all be they should be treated equally. I can see if it, they're just calling and they're just, a once in a while player. But I do think that it should be the same for anybody that has any kind of a pass. And as far as people calling in and, getting more than one tea time, think about it this way. If you have somebody coming in and asking for like 4 tea times, That's 4 phone calls that they don't have to deal with. Or that's 3 phone calls that they don't have to deal with because only one person is making the call.
I don't have a problem with multiple tea times personally, only because it's less fielding of phone calls. It's less phone calls going into the golf shop. It's less you're gonna, if somebody gets 3 groups, first of all, the times have to be filled, right? And every position, every single tee time has to be filled. If somebody makes 3 times and then there's 3 threesomes, then, that's a problem because we lost 3 golfers. I don't think Mark sees that at all. And there aren't many individuals who do that, but all of a sudden you make 1 tee time, you're only allowed to make 1 tee time, and you're talking 3 or 4 groups. Now you're talking 16 people making phone calls for the same exact time. And now who knows who gets them. And then all of a sudden now they got to call back and cancel times after they talk to everybody. It's a mess. And we've been through that before. That's why we allow multiple tee times. As long as these tee times are filled with golfers and they're paying their money, that's okay by me personally. On the other hand, I really don't have a problem with opening up a tee time for everybody at the same time. Resident benefit is that we pay less money. This way it makes it fair for everybody. What I don't want to see is out of towners go away and not come back because of it, and that will happen. And again, we're the only golf course that does this. There are other municipalities who get along just fine. I don't think Stanley gives preferential tee times to
No, they don't.
to residents.
No, I spoke with Howie. They do not.
So
They have 27 holes. We have
That's
18.
right. That's
So, I mean,
W-
you're not comparing
we
apples
don't-
to apples.
Nah, Jim, we're basically talking weekends here. If we're talking weekends, like you say, people aren't making 9-hole tee times for weekends, right? Hold on, Jimmy Green, unmute Jim. Unmute Jim. We can't hear you. You want me to unmute you? I'll do it for you, bud. Okay. While you're learning how to do that, hey, Jim Bugella, unmute and you go.
What I was going to say is we're looking at a pretty split group of people here on which direction to go. I'm with Jim Norton on this. I think residents have paid enough that we should have the day. I'll tell you what I would do to compromise, though. If you want to take X amount of tee times and put aside for non-residents in that block, whether it be 25% or 30%, I can live with that. But to open it up to everybody, I disagree. So that's how I feel.
Jimmy,
Did you get me, Peter? Can you hear me?
we can hear you now, Jim.
Well, Peter, I agree with you 100% because I feel this way. It's like playing a lottery ticket. You call in, you get a tee time. You don't call in, you don't get a tee time. And it's only fair because the line is busy at times. So if everybody has the right to call in at the same time, either you come to the shop or you call in.
Okay. So if there is a supposed preferential for, I have to ask this question, and I know you may not like it, but I mean, do we as a commission have a say in this? Or are we advising on this? Big difference, right? So I don't know. I mean, do we have, I mean, it sounds like the majority wants some sort of preferential treatment for the resident. Could the acting director of golf make a decision regardless of what we think. You know,
Well, if you know, we're not getting philosophical questions on this thing, but we're setting the rates, and we actually agreed upon this whole policy. If you
Mhm.
think about it, so now and we did this early on. So if you're saying now that we didn't have the authority to do that, now you're saying, well,
I'm asking the question, Jim. That's all.
no, well, but you can't have it both ways, Peter. We've been down this road. So what are you gonna say? We didn't have the authority to do what we did?
I don't, you know what, Jim, I'm going to be very honest with you, and I'll go on record saying it. I don't know what authority we do have, to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest with you. I don't know what we can and can't do. We've been doing this for 3 years, and it seems that whenever we go upon a subject or something, you can't do that, or it has to go to council, or this, that, and the other thing. Quite frankly, I don't think we have a lot of say in a lot of things, to be honest with you. So that's why I'm just asking this question. I mean, if Jerry decides that, you know what, I'm going to set this policy, can he do that? You know, I don't know. And that's why I'm asking the question, and I'm bringing it out there so that we have some form of, stuff like this is going to come up again, right? So I just want a clear answer as to what we can. It's obvious that, the majority here wants some sort of preferential treatment. Now, with Lindsay, back in those days, Lindsay had several times. I forgot how many times he had, but he had on the hour, the quarter hour, the half hour. So every quarter hour he had a tee time available for a resident, right? So if we did a split tee start, there was every hour had 4 times, right? 1, 2,
Peter,
yes.
sorry to interrupt. I'll tell you exactly what he did is residents used to be able to call 5 days in advance for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Tee times on the half hour. So we'll just say 7, 7:30, 8,
Okay.
8:30. We're dedicated to residents. All the other tee times were released 3 days in advance.
Correct.
Now, the reason we changed to 5 days overall was mainly because of online tee times. You can only set one threshold as to how many days that you can
Okay.
book online. So we made it kind of uniform in that way. But that's not to say we can't use that half hour on the half hour, for residents only.
Now that was
Type
used,
structure.
that was used for years, and nobody complained. I mean, now you're meeting everybody in the middle, right? You're setting aside tee times for residents that are guaranteed tee times for residents, but you're also allowing non-residents to make a time. And listen, I would love to have all residents be able to take up the whole morning, because according to some counselors, there are many residents, there aren't that many residents that use the golf course, right? So this was kind of proof that even though it was one weekend, it's kind of proof that, the residents, there are plenty of residents that want to golf at Timberland. But the bottom line is we also have to focus on revenue, right? So, and that's why I'm looking at the business end of it, that a non-resident golfer will generate more revenue than a resident or a season pass holder. And we are kind of making it fair to give the resident. So there's basically 2 times every half hour, front and the back, for a split tee time start. And if it's Mark, what would we do if it were a 1 tee start? Would we double that? Like, instead of every half hour, we do every quarter hour to make it fair?
I don't think you can with the 10-minute intervals. It would,
Or 10 minute. Yeah.
I think you'd still have to go on the half hour, just all the way through the morning.
Okay. Gail, you have your hand up. Go ahead. Gail, unmute.
Sorry, yeah, I don't unmute. If what you suggested with the resident tee time, so many every hour, if that's manageable for Mark and the system and all, I would be in favor of that. I mean, I think it is early in the season, and I remember, I think, saying early on, once we open it, we can do it gradually. So in other words, we've gotten some feedback that some folks are concerned about this. So maybe by opening, making a change, opening it to the non-resident season pass holders, and perhaps also doing the residents, or just doing that, and then monitor revenue and see where we stand after a month. How does the revenue this year, compare, the month of, let's look at the month of April compared to the month of April last year and see where we stand. Although, having said that, I am a little concerned that, as you said, if you lose the residents early on, they won't return, but, we could monitor it for the month of April and see what the revenue looks like.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Is this an issue that is primarily a problem on the weekends? Or do you see the same thing happening during the week?
All my complaints were mostly weekends. I don't deal with weekday players.
They're mostly weekends. There were a couple weekday players, and I think those two same people approached both Jerry and I. But what I'll say about the old tee time policy as well is it was 7 days in advance for weekdays, and it didn't matter if you were a resident or non-resident. That was the old, right when I got here, that was the policy. And then weekends would be on the half hour. Residents could call 5 days in advance. I'll just throw this out there. I think this could be a solution, is just you go back to 5 days for weekdays. It's 5 days for anybody. And then for weekends, we hold tee times on the half hour for residents, but every call is at the same time. There's not different times.
Okay.
That would seem like it was a solution to everybody's concerns. So,
Hey, Mark, this is Sebi.
Yes.
You mentioned that, going way back, if you were a resident, you would have the ability to call in on Monday and a non-residents for Tuesday. I'm not sure I agree where everybody called in on Monday. There were a limited amount of tee times available for the residents on Monday. But everybody else had the shot on Tuesday for Saturday. It wasn't the non-residents calling in on Monday.
I think it's the same thing. Basically, we're blocking times for residents. That's kind of what it was. It's just that it was on different days prior, and it should just be all on the same day.
Right. That's the way it was in the past. That's what I'm saying.
And there's no difference to that, because there were still a limited amount of times that were done the day before. You're right. It was Monday and Tuesday for Saturday, but there were only a limited amount of tee times available
For the residents, correct.
for the residents. So
Right.
this is really the same thing.
Yep. So what's gonna happen, if we go with that type of policy, what's gonna happen is the people, like, for example, if I call in on Monday and I get no tee time, guess what? I'm calling in on Tuesday. So I'm not sure you're really resolving the issue. You're just moving the people from Monday to Tuesday.
I don't think that's the issue, Sebi. I think the issue is the non-residents are saying, listen, we think that we're going to get shut out. Mark, if I'm not mistaken, you're talking 12 tee times per hour, correct? Split tees. That's how you're working it, 6 each side.
Oh, you're muted, Mark.
That is correct. Split tees would be 12 per hour.
12 per hour. And so now you're saying, okay, so the bone that you're proposing, you're going to say, listen, is it on the half hour? That's what you're saying. So I'll put four aside for residents.
No, it would be 6. It would be like 7, 7:30, and 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And then both sides. So
Well, 7, 7:30, 8, 8:30.
essentially, if you do a split tee, it would be 8 total times blocked for residents out of a possible. I mean, I'll just do the math quickly. I think it's 22 times, something like that, with a split tee.
Well, it's 10-minute intervals, right?
Yeah.
So
And it goes till 8:50.
Let's just do it by the hour. It doesn't really matter at that point in time, but that's 12 tee times per hour. So so with that, you're telling me, right, there's 18 hole tee times per hour. And you're telling me, so how many do you want to put aside for residents? 4?
No, there'd be 6.
Every half hour. You said every half hour, right?
Okay, so yeah, not counting the 8 o'clock.
No,
There'd be 4.
There'd be 4.
There'd be 4.
To me, that's not. No, I totally disagree with that because, again, no offense, we're supporting the employees and the losses time and time again. If there's, and the reason we're making money now is COVID. When COVID's over, we're going to be back at square one. And so maybe we have to come to some sort of compromise on this, and if everybody's shut out and that, again, we're early in the season. We've only been open for what, a couple of weeks now. Right. And then, maybe we should just kind of sit back another week or two and see what's going to happen. And then if that's the case, then open it up partially. Maybe not. Hold, Jimmy, give me 1 second. Maybe give the residents, I don't know, 50% of them or whatever, and then see what happens. Listen, that's just one thought. That's all.
But Jim, I mean, we don't want to let that money go.
Well, it's not going anywhere. I mean,
No,
if
I'm
there's
talking
season
about-
ticket holders, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but if they're coming in and they're from out of town, they're gonna buy the season pass. You think they're gonna sit around and wait? They're not gonna sit around and wait for that. They're gonna go somewhere else. So why should we lose that money? And wait a minute, how about the people in town don't come and play golf? Then what do? We're guaranteed money so far right now. So let's keep the door open and let's go see which way. I mean, we can, like I said, we can all sit here and dwell on it, but at the end of the day, let's take the money while we can. We lost a lot of money already this year, but we should have made money. So let's open the door for them. They're paying more money than our people are.
True, but in the same token, our rate is cheaper than Hunter, and if I'm not mistaken, it's also cheaper than Stanley, even for the season pass holder, correct? And there was a reason that we did that to get it in, to get them through the door, correct? But they also knew the tea time policy ahead of time. It's not like that was just, guess what? By the way, here's a new policy. Here, this thing was published, correct?
But no, because see, like, from my understanding, I mean, this just came up this year, but everybody's squawking about the price and this here and that. What's going on? All right, because with the COVID, everybody's playing golf, but like you said, it's going to go away. So let's keep the money. Let's open the door, let the people in, and we'll take it from there. Because I don't think that many people from town are going to really be playing on the weekends.
But did we cause this problem with, expanding on the amount of tournaments we're having on the weekends? Because we do have, like Jim said earlier, we do have a large number of tournaments. We have, I think the men's club alone has 30 tournaments this year, which is basically almost every weekend.
Jim, I mean, Sebi, again,
I'm just saying that.
how many tournaments does the men's club have that only have a handful of players, like a qualifier or things like that? It's a line item on a schedule, but that does not in any way, shape, or form mean that it's a full field and blocks everybody out. I
just want to chime in real quick. I mean, as a commission, do you feel like we should maximize our revenues? I just want to ask that question.
No.
I have mixed
No.
Well,
emotions on that.
then we should keep the tea time policy the way it is, because you're not maximizing your revenues, and that's what you guys don't think we should.
I am dead set on allowing a non-resident pass holder to be treated as a resident.
I agree with you.
That has.
When you allow residents to book at a lesser rate, 24 hours ahead, and just hypothetically we fill it with residents, you're not maximizing your revenue. You're just not. So, I mean, that's the big question to the commission. I mean, I'd love to just keep it the way it is and take care of the residents, but Jerry and I are under the pressure of maximizing revenue. Our jobs depend on that. So to be fair, we have to offer it to non-residents and residents. I mean, the discount is the benefit. That's just the way, I see it. But if the commission doesn't want to maximize revenue and treat it like an amenity, then that's a different story. And we'll do whatever, you guys recommend. Maybe Jerry can chime in.
No, I just want to just interject. And Mark, I think you can back me up here. Jim, to your point, well, let's wait a week or two and see how things go. The people that I have talked to had not purchased the non-residents had not purchased their seasons passes yet. They were waiting to see what happens, because what they told me, if we don't change, they're going elsewhere. They're not waiting a month. They want resolution now, because they're not going to lose a month going to Southington or Hunter or Stanley, waiting for us to make a decision here. And I think their concerns are valid concerns. I really do. And I agree with you, Mark. We're charged with doing our best to maximize our revenue. I don't see this as being a way in which we're going to maximize revenue. Not at all. If anything, we're going to forego quite a bit of revenue here. We are, plain and simple. And what Mark said about their seasons past, being less than the non-resident, that's your benefit. That's your benefit. So I agree. I agree with Mark. I'm dead set against not maintaining this policy. I am. I'm sorry.
Okay, Jerry, Gail.
Yeah. I agree with you, Peter. I think the non-resident season pass holder should get the same privilege as the resident. It's like a double-edged sword in a way, or we've been preaching to the town council that the golf course is an amenity. And therefore, many of us feel we shouldn't be held to the ordinance. And yet, at the same time, we're saying we need to maximize revenue, but we want it as an amenity. So it's a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing. And there's a balance there somewhere. I don't know where it is and how to find it. But I would like to, make at least a move to open it up for the all pass holders and non-residents, and go from there, and monitor it closely and have this on the agenda for the April meeting.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Peter, I just wanted to make just a quick observation. I mean, we're talking about the residents versus non-residents.
Mhm.
What happens if, I'm just going to put it out there, a group of residents get together and they're not appreciative of the fact that non-residents are being treated equally? And I appreciate there's a price difference in the season's pass, but I think in some cases, residents may come back and say, this is an amenity supported by the community. Why are non-residents being treated the same way in terms of access to the organization or to the golf course?
No, but I think it looks this way. I think that if they want to leave, they should leave, because they're not paying that much money. That means more people we can get in.
Jimmy.
Hey, I mean, let's open the door.
Listen, I take it. Do me a favor before think about that one, because
No, I mean, Jim, let's think about it. What are you going to argue about? I mean, what are you going to argue? You're getting something. You're not paying the full price. And what they're paying, $400?
Jimmy, if that's the case, just sell the course. The heck with it. You want to get down? If you want to, I mean, that's
you got to look at $400 versus maybe what, $1,600? Okay, come on.
The 400 is not on, Jimmy. The 400 is not on the weekend. That's number one, right? But and it's not 1,600 anymore. It's down to 1,300.
Right, but that's business. That's you got to look at a business.
But the resident is 775, right? And believe me, I get it. But when there's a loss, if there is a loss, the residents are the ones who have to pick up the tab, not the non-residents. You're not going to send a bill out to the non-residents that played, that had season passes, and say, listen, and by the way, you owe me, the check came due on my watch, and guess what? You owe me another $200 per. That's not going to happen, or whatever it's going to come out to.
listen, I pay taxes in this town, but I'm willing to accept that. I pay taxes just like anybody else,
Okay.
okay? I pay for my season pass, right? So I accept that, okay? I understand that, but I don't want to lose that revenue, okay? That's why I'm looking at it in the business sense. So if they decided that they don't want to spend another $400 or whatever, then bye-bye. That's why I look at it.
Hey, Jerry, you said that you talked to these people and they were contemplating on purchasing a non-resident season pass. Is that correct?
At our place, they were contemplating it, correct?
Okay. So
They go ahead, I'm sorry, Pete, go ahead, I'm sorry.
by allowing them to make a tea time the same time as a resident pass holder, that would make them happy, correct?
They're in, because that's all they want. They just want that ability to be treated the same. They want an equal playing field, and I believe doing that is fair and correct. Yes, I do.
I agree with you 1,000%. I said that last meeting that
And
if you're buying
like
a
I
season
said to you,
pass, you
if
should
they-
be treated as such.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
again,
all right, so
I'm not of the opinion or the school of, well, because they do it, we have to do it. I don't go that way. But all I know is this: I do know that, as Mark alluded to earlier, no one else is doing it. I spoke to Howie Friday at Stanley. He laughed. Okay. He said, I don't know what they did before Howie got there, but he doesn't do it now. And he's a Berlin resident. So, this, again, what's fair and correct? And I believe an equal playing field is fair and correct. I agree with Mark. They're getting, and I understand everybody's point. I understand Jim's point that, when the tab comes due, it's the Berlin residents, plural, that are picking up the tab. I get it. Well, hopefully the tab doesn't come due. Hopefully we can self-sustain. Hopefully. I don't know. We'll see.
No,
We'll know
Jerry,
a hell of a lot more after.
come on.
Get real.
What's that?
Self-sustain.
What?
Listen, if we can't control costs, we're never going to get there. So, I mean, this is.
That's right.
Well, I know one thing. I know you can't self-sustain selling golf for $3 and $4 a round. That I know.
Mhm.
That's right.
Know that.
Well,
So if we want to start doing the math about people with season passes and number of plays and what they get it down to by the end of the year, let's go do it. Because Mark and I both know.
Nancy,
I think the bottom line is that, we can think of, the golf course as being an amenity for the residents, but that's not what at being self-sustained, that is not the way the town is looking at it. The fact that they let us be self-sustained, they're assuming that we are going to be making money. So it's not considered an amenity. They're really looking at it as business.
Well, Peter,
yes.
Debbie, and I hear what you're saying, Nancy, but this course has been in existence for 51 years. And I don't know why we have an issue that we now have to make money. We have to be a profit center
That's right.
for the town.
Yeah.
All right. We went for many, many, many years. All right. We're not making this a profit center. I'd like to know, and this is a question for tomorrow night, who in the town is driving this to make it a profit center?
And I agree with
All
you.
right, because if that's the case, if they're going to try to make this a profit center, they better start looking at other areas in this town to make it a profit center too.
No, I agree with you. I think that it should be an amenity for the town. But the sad part is it isn't. They don't look at it that way.
Well, I want to know what changed in the last 2 or 3 years, and
All right,
that's a
so
discussion for tomorrow night. I'm
Okay,
sorry. I
that's
have to
tomorrow.
mention that.
Listen, this is let's say focus on what's at hand here. All right. And then that's tomorrow night's discussion.
Mhm.
So, until we know the direction of the golf course, we could be making a big mistake. We could be, making the right decision. We don't know what the future holds with the golf course, right? If they decide that this has to be a profit center and we don't open it up to everybody, then we're going to lose those non-residents. They're not going to come back. If we don't open it up, and I mean, if we do open it up, then we're going to upset residents, right? So it's kind of like a quandary here.
Peter,
Maybe we walk a little bit further this time than we did last time and open it up to the non-resident season pass holder. I would personally be disappointed if we don't do that, at the very least. And then see what happens tomorrow night. And then at the next meeting, we evaluate it again. And if we make changes, we make another change. And at that point, I will have a firm answer as to what we can and can't do, because I really have no clue what we can and can't do.
And Peter, the problem with that is that if we make a change and then you said we can make another change, that's not fair to the non-residents,
I agree.
because we're telling them, hey, put up your money, and then we open it up, but then a month later we shut it down
No,
again. They already paid us.
That's not what I'm saying, Sebi. What I'm
Okay,
saying
I
is,
misunderstood.
what I'm saying is, you allow the non-resident season pass holder the same privilege as a resident, no matter what. Then if we still get a ton of complaints from non-resident, non-season pass holders, okay, just your regular non-resident who wants to make a time but can't or whatever, and we figure out that the direction of the town is going, you know what, you guys got to make money. Okay. So if the town treats this as an amenity, who cares? Okay. Mark's contract isn't predicated on residents versus non-residents or revenue. Okay. Now, his contract states that he has to promote the game of golf, and I don't know of any pro that's doing a better job personally right now.
I agree.
Okay.
Mhm.
But it's no skin off of Mark's. Mark's not making this suggestion to make more money for Mark. He's suggesting that to make more money for the golf course, because that's the direction that we feel that the town council wants us to head in. Okay. So,
Can I make a
Jim.
suggestion?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay, go ahead. You finish.
If through all these meetings and if the town council gets flooded with residents that won't stand for anything but having this as an amenity for the town, then it's a moot point, right? So my suggestion is open it up for the non-resident season pass holder, give them the same privilege.
Nope.
Wait to see what happens with the town meeting, at least another month. And then if we have to open it up, or if we have to open up a tea time for everybody at the same time, then you do that then. I mean, that's kind of a compromise in my eyes. Jim?
Okay, my suggestion is going to be, I think we're kind of, and I fully understand all aspects of this thing, and I do, and even to the point that you do away with season pass holders if that's the case, right? I mean, and I hate to throw that one out there, but
Ooh, no.
if just hear me out, guys, everybody. If everything's on the table, it's on the table. But I think tomorrow will be a telltale sign of how things may maybe truly be looked at, right? And I disagree with making a decision and then going ahead and change it again. It's like a do-over. It doesn't make sense. So my suggestion is, why don't we just reconvene next week, even if it's for a half an hour,
Right.
and say, and if we have a better direction of what's going on through the town and the town council, it just makes more sense to go and make a decision one way and then go to reverse it or change it again. It doesn't look good for us. It really doesn't.
Jim, are you saying that you don't agree with allowing a season pass holder to make a time with everybody else? Are you saying a non-resident season pass holder should not be able to make a time 5 days in advance? Is that what you're saying? I just want to know.
No, what I'm saying is, let's see what the town wants. If the town wants to maximize the revenue, then all bets are off. And then if you buy a season pass holder, if you're a season pass holder and it's a non-resident, well, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to let you, call in at 7 o'clock in the morning. You can call in on noon, because chances are they're not all sold out by noon. Mark, you could answer that better than anybody else here. Are they sold out by noon or 10 o'clock in the morning?
They're sold out in about 10 minutes.
Oh, well, then.
I'm
get that
sorry.
one.
Okay,
I stand.
I
Okay.
totally disagree with that. I mean, if you're committing to play with this course all year and you're putting your money on it, you should be able to make a time. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
I'm not telling people what to do or think, but that's my personal feeling.
I
And
do
again,
think Jim is right, though. We need to know the direction. We need
There's
to
no
know
question.
what yeah.
Okay.
but that's what I said, right? That's what I said. That's why my suggestion is let a season pass holder make a time now, and then forget about the 1 day, 2 days, or whatever for now.
No,
But you just let the non-resident season pass just to see how many non-resident season pass holders passes do we have?
39, he said.
39.
49.
49.
And out of those 49, how many of those play with a resident?
I'm
Right?
sure many of them.
Probably many.
I'm
So
sure many.
we are talking about a very few amount of tea times that could be done, but you would go a long way for these people that paid their money. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. Mark my word. If we continue to do this, they're going to want their money back. And now we're going to have a whole new set of problems,
Mhm.
because that's exactly what
We also don't want the stigma that people can't make a time here because the residents lock them all up.
Right.
I mean, we just don't want
point.
that reputation, and we've had it in the past. I know we have.
That's a fair point.
Mhm.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow the non-resident season pass holders to book right now the same as a resident, which is a day in advance.
I second that.
Any more discussion?
yes, I have discussion. I still think we should just go back to, if a non-resident wants to play during the weekend, we block out a certain percentage. I don't want that percentage to be higher than a resident's percentage. If we have 24 times, give them 10.
That's not the
That's the
motion.
compromise.
That's not the motion, Jim. That's not the motion.
That's the
we're-
discussion.
Discussion on the motion of allowing a non-resident season pass holder to book a time as a resident. What you're saying is totally different. I mean, how do you feel? How do you feel about that? So you're saying that a non-resident season pass holder should not make a time as a resident?
I don't think they should have the same rights
I'm sorry.
as and that's fine. Listen, we don't all have to agree, and that's fine.
You don't have to agree. I'm
don't all
just
have
trying to
to
move
agree.
the conversation.
I
forward.
understand. My motion was going to be to, why don't we just wait and see what happens tomorrow night, and then reconvene on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of next week.
I like that one. I think we should wait.
I think that would just make a little bit more sense, and because
Yes.
the last thing we want to do is go back and change something that we put in place, Peter.
But Jim, what kind of sense does that make, though? I don't quite understand it. I mean, if you got people that's willing to buy their membership now, we're gonna wait 2 or 3 days to.
Well, you know
make
why,
that
Jimmy?
decision?
Because if that's the case, and they say, listen, we really don't care, you need to make a profit, then guess what? I'm all for changing the policy altogether. If the town says to me up front, it says to us on tomorrow night that, listen, it doesn't matter. You have to show a profit. You have to, cover all your costs, this and that. Guess what?
Right.
You might as well just scrap it and start from scratch.
I know.
That's where I'm coming from.
I think this might enhance non-resident pass hold sales would go up. In other words, it's a small number now, but I think potentially by giving them that opportunity to book earlier, the
Yeah.
number of non-resident
Right.
passes is going to go up. And that could be a good thing. Obviously, it always depends on the number of rounds they play, but
So we as a committee, we could just say, okay, let's go for it. And if the town turns it down, then we'll take that too. But right now, I think we should just go for it. Go for the ride.
My opinion is it's a very small compromise. I think you guys are majoring in a minor here. I don't think there's all that, I don't think that the impact is all that great. But you're allowed, but you're showing good faith to a person who put down a chunk of money to commit to play Timberland.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Yep.
So we have a motion. Any more discussion?
I just have one question, Peter.
Yes.
And I guess this question is directed more at Mark or Jerry. I think I heard the number 49 out of town season passes have been sold this year
Correct.
so far.
Yep.
Is that right? How many were sold last year?
Give me 1 minute and I'll pull it up.
I think it was
And I
39.
apologize. I
Oh,
just,
Joe, that's fine.
I'm not on a
Don't-
computer right now.
Don't apologize. No
I
need.
think it was 39, correct? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Hold on. He's gonna look it up.
It's 49 this year. Let me do
Okay.
some quick math.
Looking for my sheet.
It's going to be higher because
20,
this year,
24 last year.
yeah,
Boom.
it's
Twice
a
as
good
many
deal.
this
So this
year.
year is higher. Yeah, because it's a great deal.
But we
And they
also
knew
had
it
the
going
benefits
in.
card last year. We don't have the benefits card this year. So we also
Okay.
had that wrinkle.
That's right.
I mean, and Peter, I hear what you're saying. To me, if I was a resident of Southington and I bought a season's pass at Timberland for the money that I would be spending, I would sit there and say, I'm a season's pass holder. How come I'm not treated like a season's pass holder? Right.
No, like a resident. There's a difference.
No, I'm not, and I'm not saying, Jimmy, I'm not distinguishing a difference between a resident or non-resident. My point is a season pass holder who committed to play and put down a chunk of money to play.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about resident, non-resident. This is a season pass holder thing for me.
Then why aren't we just breaking up the times? Why can't we honor both sides here? Instead of having non-residents have access to all the times, why can't they have just a percentage of them?
Jimmy,
And then you're making them happy.
my proposal is not to do that. My proposal is
I hear you.
a season pass holder. That's it. Forget about resident, non-resident. The non-resident has to book a tee time right now, 1 day later than a resident. Okay. A season pass holder is different. A season pass holder has a season pass. I don't care if they live in Timbuktu.
Right.
If they've committed a chunk of money, I mean, Jim, let me ask you a question, Jim, in all honesty, and answer this honestly. Okay. You buy a season pass at Southington Country Club. Okay. And you have to wait a day to make a tee time. How do you feel? You can't make a tee time like every other season pass holder. Seriously, I'm asking you very honest question here. I would
Honestly?
be pissed. Yeah.
I would weigh that when I was buying the pass. And if I wanted to play that course bad enough, I would adhere to the rules that I'm buying the pass for. Those rules were in place. I'm willing to compromise now, but that's the way it is. When you sold those 49 season passes, this rule was in place.
Was it though? Was it? Are we sure about that? I don't remember the particular dates, but are we absolutely sure about that? That this policy?
Yeah, it was because it's on the form.
Okay.
It is on the form.
And all as I'm saying is make both sides happy. Why? I don't get what this whole discussion is, to tell you the truth. I think we should you want to open it up, but if a resident does pay, and we've been paying in taxes to support this place, you know what? I think we have a right. I think we have a privilege.
Anybody else? boy, I would love to ask the nice person who's been sitting there patiently, but Dana, I can't ask that, can I? Can I ask?
Ask what?
I just wanted to ask, I want to ask her opinion. She's been sitting here patiently listening to all this. I wouldn't mind hearing.
Oh, your
from her.
audience member?
Yes.
Can.
Oh,
Oh,
fabulous.
She wants to
I'd
offer
like
it.
to hear it.
If you'd like to chime in, I would love to hear what you think.
Oh, okay. I'm only an occasional golfer, so I'm not there a lot. I've never bought a season pass. I always think of buying one, but I haven't. I think that the out-of-towners and the people who live in town really should be treated equally. I know that outside people pay more just to play around. That's fine. And if you want to limit the equality to the season pass holders, that's okay with me. But I live in town, and I think that the golf course needs to do whatever it can to stay profitable, even if it's not really profitable, but to stay as profitable as possible. I think Mark does an amazing job, and all the people that work there do an amazing job. I'm going tomorrow night, and I don't want to see this place sold, which I don't think they're going to do. And I don't really even want to see outside people run it. So I think if you guys don't make the right decision economically, fiscally, that could be a danger. And I don't want to see outside people running this golf course. That's me. So that's it. That's why I'm here. Actually, I was here just because I'm curious why you were having a meeting the night before the big meeting. So I wanted to join in, but I'm going to be there tomorrow. Maybe.
Well, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Really appreciate your feedback. Anybody else? Because we're beating this to death. We have a motion on the table to allow a non-resident season pass holder to book a tee time 5 days in advance, like a resident season pass holder. Is there any more discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor? We're going to do a roll call, okay, for this one. Dana, do you control the roll call? You feel like it? You're the best.
I could do a roll call.
Okay, so remember, the motion is whether or not to allow a non-resident season pass holder the same privilege as a resident season pass holder.
Okay, Chairman DeFazio.
Aye.
I'm going in the order that I see you. Commissioner Berger.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Norton.
Nay.
Commissioner Bugella.
Nay.
Okay. Commissioner Lemire.
Yay.
Okay. Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Senia.
Nay.
Oh, wait a
And
minute. Do we have Joe on the line? Commissioner.
So I have a question. I missed probably the first 25 minutes of the meeting.
Yep.
Am I still allowed to vote?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I vote yes, I'm in favor.
That's Commissioner Pulcini.
And Joe, I need to make a note. You said you missed the first 25 minutes or so?
That's correct.
Okay, I just have to know when you come in. Okay.
Okay.
So that is 6 yes to 2 no.
3 no.
3 no, I'm sorry, Seb. So 5 to 3, motion carries.
Wait. Gail, did you vote yes or no?
I voted yes.
Okay.
I made the motion.
I second it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Anything, that's all we can discuss.
That's fair enough.
So, Nancy,
Yes.
oh, we can adjourn and then I'm going to stop the recording and, oh, no, I guess I can't do that, huh? Well, we have a special meeting tomorrow night. I invite all your folks to get to your groups and ask them to come to the school or get online, please. Okay, all you can do, okay? Yes,
Did the, I can't be there because I'm traveling.
No,
Did
I get
the invite go out from Aroche? So we
Yes.
have it in our email?
yes. And I can resend it as well, the agenda item.
Okay, because I could forward it to,
Okay, Jim?
Did anybody else help send pros or cons in? Because from what I'm seeing, it looks like the only one that was there was mine.
Um,
Oh, yeah, I did.
Did they include those in the attachments?
No, not really.
I sent in comments to Aroche. I didn't do it in a pros and cons, but I did send him comments.
okay, I don't know that we can really talk about
All
this.
right, no
so
problem. Okay,
We're
yeah.
going to,
Okay.
well, Jim, you
Good.
kind of covered 99.999% of it. Yes, Nancy?
Exactly.
Nancy, yes.
Tomorrow night, I'm going to do a Zoom meeting because I
That's
planned on,
fine.
but my family member has COVID. And so
Okay.
I'm quarantined for 10 days.
Okay, very good. Well, sorry to hear that, but thanks.
Yeah,
for doing-
our granddaughter, our 10-month-old granddaughter has
Oh,
it too.
boy.
Oh,
Oh boy, I'm sorry to hear that. No.
All right, here, that's all we got for the agenda item. We can't discuss anything else, so I need a motion. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second, Mr. Norton. All right, everybody in favor of that, I'm sure.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
we'll see everybody tomorrow
Tomorrow
night
night.
and, yep, good luck. Thanks, everybody.
thank you. Have a good night.
All right,
Thanks.
have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Good night.